Hi guys, good morning. How are you today? Hi. Hi Neha. Hi Preetila. It's so nice to have you all here. We're just waiting for Sukanya to join, and then we'll get the session started. I hope you all are having a wonderful Sunday. It's nice and bright to have a storytelling session today. Hi Sukanya.
Hi, Arya. Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
Lovely to
How?
see you very well. It's a bright Sunday morning, and I think the perfect time to read books.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah,
So we're
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's so
So,
lovely to have on our
yes,
TRM.
I mean, the beauty of Sunday mornings is that this is the time where I do actually read books with my 4-year-old. So it's just an extension of what I would normally do on a Sunday. So from that perspective, you've really caught me in my real life.
I don't know if this is a blessing, but we didn't plan it, but it's International Day of Families today. So, like,
Oh,
this
how lovely.
session is like the best thing to do today.
Wow, I'm so thrilled to hear that.
So, why don't you tell our audience a bit about the book and what you're going to be reading today?
Okay, lovely. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much to the 53, 52 of you here on time. It's such a pleasure to be here. My name is Sukanya Shah. I had a career in publishing media. And then after I had my first child, which was about 2 years before the pandemic hit, I just sort of delved into this whole world of children's content and books with her. I started to read to her as early as 3 months. And at that point, it was just basically sights and sounds. And then, of course, it translated into vocabulary, translated into creativity. So I just had such an amazing time to dive right into this world of storytelling and books with her. And then as the pandemic came on, I was full of ideas, but I brought one of those ideas to life. And that has now translated into a 5-part series published by Birch Books. It's called Shiny and Her Wardrobe of Virtues. Shiny is a story about a girl who has this amazing wardrobe of virtues. I also have a background in fashion, so I think it was a marriage of all my worlds. So this rather exciting wardrobe that she has features some pieces of clothing that, when upon wearing, it helps her. It helps her. It takes her through all the daily challenges that she might face, and she's able to don these pieces, and it brings up some sort of magic, and it introduces her to very key feelings and emotions such as gratitude, kindness, patience, and love. And really, these were very simple virtues. I wanted to teach my own child about these virtues in a way that was not very preachy or boring, in a way that was, sort of at her scope and fun. And that's how Shiny was truly born. And I'm very excited to share with you all. Today, I'll be reading an excerpt from one of those books, which is Kindness. I think with millennial parenting, there's just so much of focus, which I'm very proud of. There's such a focus on kindness, and there's such a focus on compassion. And we know for sure that those are some of the key things that we strive to teach our kids today, especially in this world we live in, which is so cutthroat, and which is so, it's such a dog eat dog world. And these are some of the things that I'm very, very big on. I'm one of those parents that's, yes, I am focused on schooling, and I'm very focused on, the sort of actual brass tacks, the A's and B's part of it. But I do believe that our children today are blessed to have, to be in wonderful schools and teachers who are absolutely looking at their whole round development. So I'm a firm believer that the A's and B's will come, the ones and tens will come, the mathematics, the logic, the counting, the language, it'll all come. I'm very, very big on instilling values, and I'm very, very big on instilling a sense of, kindness, and which is why I did pick kindness as the book that I would read today.
That's wonderful. Really, it's a great thing that you're incorporating emotional intelligence in these books as well. Because I remember growing up, we would like read a lot of stories, Panchatantra and all, but they were
So,
not so
yes,
focused on emotional development. They would tell us stories and like
with a
it was
moral. Yeah,
on things, but this is
yes.
really it helps the child learn in an early age, and I think that's really amazing.
Definitely. To me at least, I do believe emotional well-being cannot be taught. Your EI, as we call it today, it can't be taught. It has to be modeled. So I'm very big on modeling good emotional balance and behavior myself. Just one of the things that I just sort of off the top of my head like to share with you now is it's so important to address emotions. As parents, what we do is, so if your child is throwing a tantrum or having a hard time with something, this is also, by the way, sorry, but this is also a lot like I'm sort of drawing a lot on my background in psychology, and I've tried to marry that into my parenting style as well. Of course, we have, our parents and everyone at home who are there to guide us. But I do tend to tap a lot on the stuff that I've studied in psychology. And some of those things are like, for example, if your child is having a hard day or throwing a tantrum about something, as parents, we are very intent in resolving the issue at hand. So for example, if I see my 4.5-year-old upset, um, you know my instant focus is not on making it better. I think as parents we jump to make it better, to make her stop crying. But what
Yeah.
I try to do is I actually, instead of focusing on resolving the issue, I focus on asking her how she's feeling. Because I think children, and especially young children under the age of 8, or 7, they're not able to always define how they're feeling very succinctly. So they tend to resolve to doing something that portrays how they're feeling. It could be stomping their feet, it could be crying, it could be walking out of a room, it could be sitting alone, it could be really just throwing this monumental fit. So I think as parents we always tend to try and find a solution, but what's really, really, what has helped me is to actually ask her how she's feeling. And what that has done is it's it's allowed me to equip her with a range of emotions and words that she can use. I always use the phrase, use your words. And I have been able to deliver a bouquet of words for her to use. So, like, for example, um, if she's excited about something, we have built a bank of tons of words that we could use to talk about how me or she are feeling. So if
Yeah.
she's so for example, for excited, you could say happy, you could say thrilled, you could say hopeful, you could say joyous, you could say glad, you could say mama, I feel great. And I have really at every step tried to equip her with that. And the way that I also do that is I practice that myself. So last evening, she came from a very exciting play date, at one of her very close friend's house where she had made a piece of artwork. And my instant reaction could have been, wow, this is great. This is great, Adhyana. I love what you've made. And I did say that. And I took it a step further. I said, wow, I am so amazed that you have been able to concentrate and put together such a beautiful piece of art, and that makes mama feel very, very excited and happy. And Adhyana, how did you feel to create this? So, I think the language of emotions is always two-way. We're expecting our children to be emotionally cognizant and intelligent and step up to this crazy world that we're in, especially post-pandemic, where
Right.
emotions have been hard even for 30-year-olds to explain, right? So, in that sense, I always try to equip her with this range of emotions in
That's
words. And I always go back to use your words.
it also fosters this space for her to express herself openly. I remember, like, back when I was younger, it wasn't so open that I could, like, express what I'm going through. And having this safe space for her is very important, so that even if she's feeling a bad emotion, she can still
Right.
come to you and tell you that this is what she's going through, and you can equip her with like techniques and tools to overcome it in a healthy manner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? Equipping your child with those tools is not rocket science, it's conversation. I am so big on conversation because sometimes, and I think, our new curriculums and our new boards that we all follow today, right? They're all inquiry based, which means that you help a child, you aid the child to look for solutions. You don't give them the solution at the get go. And
Right.
truly, when you have a conversation about why are you upset, or do you are you feeling something, are you feeling something that you're not able to talk about, when you merely have that conversation as a two-way street, what happens is that they find solutions themselves. And I think in today's modern world, that truly is the genesis and the basis of how they're taught in school today. So like I say, this massive toolkit that we talk about, or this you don't have to be a psychologist, and you don't have to be a super mom or a super parent. You just need to engage in conversation, and a wealth of growth just comes from there.
Yeah. That's wonderful, wonderful.
So,
uh,
Arya, in fact, this actually brings me to one quick thing that I wanted to share with you. Speaking of psychology, with a former colleague of mine, we're developing this sort of calming box, which we're going to be launching in the month of June. We're going to be launching that in a month. It basically is full of different kinds of material that help a person regulate themselves and cope on an emotional plane, of course. So, in fact, when I was working on this box with her, I pretty much did the same thing with my child, where your emotional balance is concerned. I said, just go into your room and we're going to build a box. We're going to put into this box some interesting things that make you feel happy and calm. And I let her choose those items. So obviously there was tons of slime because toddlers love slime. And, just playing with slime, the tactile feeling of slime is amazing. She put her coloring book, she put crayons, she put some books that we read together that she knows by heart, which even though she can't read a whole sentence, but just by merely flipping the page and knowing what picture it is, she knows the story. So she's actually built a happy box or a calming box of her own. And I don't know how many parents are on this live, but I feel like that has helped me so much because when words fail, we go back to her box, and we're just playing with the items in the box, together as a team. And that's sort of her safe space. Like you said, I love that word. I love that word, safe space, because one can find so many, but this sort of comes into being as her safe space, and then we just talk about things. And
right.
it needn't always be something difficult we're dealing with. Sometimes we just talk about, oh, I made a new friend in school today, or
Yeah.
oh, I fell down, or I hurt my knees in class today, but I was able to get up and move on. So just even small things like that. So yeah,
Right.
this whole creating their own happy box or calming box has been such a useful tool for me, because I think there are also lots of working moms and working dads out there who are multitasking and doing a myriad things. And these sort of small things in the house and small tools help immensely.
Yeah, definitely. If you want, you can like put the handle in the comments, and I'm sure people will reach out to you to know more
Sure,
about it.
sure,
Definitely.
sure, sure. I'd love that.
So should we continue on to the storytelling session?
Absolutely. So Welcome everyone again. For those of you who have joined late, I'm thrilled to bring to you Shiny and Her Wardrobe of Virtues. This is book number 2 in a 5-part series published by Birch Books. I wish you could see the pictures, but I'm still just going to read an excerpt and I'm going to try and show you the picture as well. One Friday evening in Virtueville, the grass was green and the trees were still. And there you see a little girl who is off on her way, somewhere on her cycle this evening in Virtueville. And suddenly, the clouds turned gray and the sun began to set. Shiny felt a drizzle. The streets were wet. And there you see this girl on her way. And oh no, there started to be a drizzle. And now let's see what she does. She swiftly put on her raincoat with its very own kindness hood and rode off on her cycle as fast as she could. So there you see. Now I believe there's something special in this raincoat. We might all need a special raincoat soon, considering the monsoons are approaching. This red raincoat she wore was of a special make. It beamed this dreary evening. It made her heart awake. So as you can see, I've tried to infuse a little bit of how she feels. You know, we always go back to, whether it's the Shiny series or any other book series that we read, we always come back to how does the character feel and what do you think she'll do next? And that becomes a lovely talking point with your kids because trust me, they'll come up with something mind-blowing and new each time. As she zipped past to take cover and escape the heavy rain, she saw a tiny pussycat, all wet and mewing in pain. So as you can see, there's a tiny little pussycat who she sees. We're also trying to imbibe a little bit of empathy and kindness towards our pets and creatures who can't talk. Crouched under a tree, sat this cat. Shivering and scared, she said, "My name is Shat." So there you see this tiny pussycat seeking help and our superhero Shiny doing what she does best. "Oh no," exclaimed Shiny, "you poor thing." Her red raincoat of kindness shimmered and went a bling. Here you see this magical red raincoat of kindness has truly empowered her to think of the kindest thing she could do in a situation like that. And hopefully she helps this cat. She opened her arms out and held Shat tenderly. Thought teary Shat, "This girl is so lovely." There you can see she's opening her arms out and calling this cat in a bid to rescue her perhaps. And this is the part of the book where I've done some book readings for schools as well. And this is the part of the book where most of the children are so excited and relieved because that's what they're thinking, right? They're thinking, "Come on, Shiny, help this cat, you can do it," and they're so excited when she does that. And here we talk a little bit about kindness. To help someone in need and to understand their fears makes them feel loved and wipes away their tears. So we're really going into the definition of kindness. What does kindness truly mean for a child that is, I don't know, somewhere between the ages of 2 and 8? It really means to help someone in need, to understand their fears, to talk to them, to make them feel loved, to give them a hug, to help them, and in many cases, to wipe away their tears.
Right.
Off Shiny went with Shat in tow. Riding back home, her magical raincoat went aglow. So as you can see, every time she's kind, this raincoat does its thing and shines on. So this is the excerpt that I wanted to share. A lot more happens in the book where she takes Shiny home and she, covers her in a blanket and gives her warm milk and introduces her to her parents. And eventually they drop her off to a very friendly farm and little Shat finds a new home. And obviously Shiny is thrilled that she could be kind and she could help someone in need. I'll just take you quickly to the last page. It says, This is it. It's Shiny and Shat flying on a rainbow. And it says, Shat was truly grateful. She'd remember this forever. Shiny's sweet act of love, she'd forget never. So this just goes to show that, wonderful emotions like gratitude and love are all just byproducts of kindness. And hopefully, this makes kindness important when they're in that sort of ripe young age. And then it translates into kindness being cool when they're teenagers and adults. So that's really what kindness is about.
Yeah, I feel it's very important to teach children such virtues at a younger age so that it gets imbibed in their almost their personality and they take it with them
Absolutely.
wherever they go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In fact, I would like to tell our audience that we have a really cool kids section coming up on the Think Right Me app, which Sukanya is a part of. And it's going live at the end of this month. So we would love for you to download the app. We have a special offer running for you. So please head to the Play Store and like get on so that you can get exclusive content by Sukanya on the app.
That's very kind. And also, I must say the ThinkRight.me app has amazing content for us as well. Whether it's just daily things like anxiety or stress management, motivational stuff, mindfulness. It's a really juicy content piece with amazing content for you guys as well. So I definitely urge you to get the app.
Would you like to get on to the questions? I'm sure the
Sure,
audience has
sure,
a lot to ask
sure.
you.
Some of the questions that were pre-sent by your viewers as well, while we wait for questions from this live to kick in, if you just want to take me through those,
Yeah,
I'll be happy to share.
yeah, let's go through those. Um, so the first question asked is, how do I teach my toddler to process the world around him better?
So I'll tell you how I did it. When my daughter turned 2.5, we were in full lockdown. And, the world was basically going through this whole, this pandemic. And the way that I said that, if I can't take her to the world, I'll let the world come to her. And I did that with books. We explored a range of content, a range of books, picture books, story books, activity books. And I truly was able to bring the world to her. I wanted her to know about different places in the world. I wanted her to know about different cultures, just different things. And to me, books was the way that I did that. It's really the simplest and most inexpensive and quick way to do that. And of course, like I said, just try to include your child in everything that you're doing. We sometimes feel that, oh, this might not be up her alley or that might not be up her alley. I try to talk to my child about my work as well. I try to talk to her about what I'm doing in my life, how it makes me feel, who I'm meeting, where I'm going. It's just a sense of cohesiveness, because I think our worlds today are so global. Everything we do is so global, and our world has truly shrunk. So I would say conversation, books, and just this holistic sense of life. If we see something on the news, like we've spoken about things like climate change and things like that, even without it actually being a very severe topic. Like if she talks about how hot it is, and we see these stray dogs on the road not able to get water, and things like that. I tell her that, well, our earth, Mother Earth needs help, and, she's feeling extremely hot, and our mountain caps are melting. And here are the 5 things we can do to help her. And really just simplify the world for them and just talk to them. That really is how you build worldview.
Yeah, I see that parents feel that kids need to grow a certain age before they have like proper conversations with them. But building that confidence in your child early on is extremely important, I believe.
Absolutely. And you will get to learn so much as well. Like even so the other day I was reading Rapunzel to my 4.5-year-old, and I mean, it's something I haven't even thought of. She said, but Mama, why did she have to wait to be rescued by the prince? She could have just chopped off her hair and attached it to the top of the tower as a rope and gotten down herself, and her hair would have just grown back eventually, just things like that. And I'm absolutely amazed because as a 4.5-year old, I mean, yes, I did read, and I did have the kind of parenting style where I was read to a lot. But at the same time, I don't think I ever searched for solutions, which is why I always say emotional intelligence yields so much to IQ, to, their holistic well-being, to logic, to mathematics, to problem solving, you know creativity, of course. But when you're basically addressing emotions, you're also aiding all of those skills. Because she turned around to me and said, Rapunzel didn't need to be stuck and didn't need to be sad. She could have just used her own hair as the rope to get out of the tower, you know so I truly believe that children today are very, very bright and ahead of the curve. And talk to them more, because you'll end up learning so much.
Yeah, of course, it's the parents' responsibility to keep on evolving with the time so that the
Absolutely.
all.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next question is, how do I know my kid is emotionally intelligent? What are the traits I should look for?
So, according to me, emotional intelligence is not an award. It's not an endpoint. It's not a goal. It's a process. And I think as adults, we're evolving all the time as well. There is something as adults, like perhaps 1 year ago, that you didn't deal with that well, but today you're on top of it because you've worked on it. So, very simply put, emotional intelligence is a process, and a beautiful one. Emotional intelligence is that beautiful plant that you keep watering and you keep shining a light on, and it grows, and you empower yourself, it strengthens. So I think it really starts with us. And when you're able to do that with yourself in your journey of self discovery and growth, it just happens organically with your children. You're able to, talk about what you're going through or how you're feeling, good or bad, happy or sad. And that truly models that behavior for them to imbibe, and mirror and reflect. And it's truly an ongoing process.
Right. Okay. Somebody has asked, how do I help my child face fears, anxiety, and be more confident?
Lovely. This is just something that I feel, like I said again, as adults, we deal with this all the time as well. But I'll tell you, I'll simplify how I've done it with my own child. I read a book called Untamed. I'm sure many of you here have read it, by Glennon Doyle. And one of the things that really stuck with me from the book was this phrase. And this phrase says, we do hard things, and life is about doing those hard things as well. It's enjoying the rainbows, and it's enjoying the highs and the successes, but we do hard things. And yes, Glennon Doyle's book Untamed is a very adult concept. It's a very adult book that I urge every one of you to read. But I've basically taken that phrase from that book, and I have transcribed it to my child. And every time we're faced with something challenging that could possibly make her anxious, nervous, question whether she's up for the challenge, I just smile at her. I literally hold her face in my hands, and I literally say, baby, we do hard things. And it feels great to do hard things. And you got this, and I'm with you. So these two phrases that have always, always come to rescue are, use your words, and we do hard things. And the other day, she saw me in my workout, and I was panting and puffing, and I was really just taking a minute. And she said, come on, mama, we do hard things. So I was
Cute.
amazed, because you're able to translate it to something very daunting, like your first day of big school. You're able to translate it into something smaller, like going back into a workout. And I tell her it's okay to pause. It's okay. Give yourself that second, pause, and go back stronger. So we pause. We know that we do hard things. We take a breath and we go back to it. And that really has empowered her so much. Just these two phrases, and I'm happy that I've had the chance to share that with you today.
That's such a wonderful parenting technique. I'm sure your daughter is way more confident just by.
Well, I hope so. I mean, she does have her days, of course. But, like I said, emotional intelligence and emotional growth is such a thrilling process. And I think it poses something new at each stage of their lives. Today she's 4.5. We're talking about new friends. We're talking about big school. We're talking about trying new things like cycling and skating. Tomorrow, it might be something a bit more serious. It might be working at some grades. It might be heartbreak. Uh, After that, it might be something with her job. It might be with love. There are just so many things. So I think this just forms a really good basis for all those kinds of challenges that await.
Right. It's wonderful. Okay. So, this question has been asked in the chat box as well, but
Okay.
something I would like to know as well. How did you come up with these specific virtues to focus on for your series of books?
So, like I said, right, this idea came to me during the pandemic, when the pandemic started, just when the pandemic started. And, we would have all these conversations about, oh my God, what's going to happen in this world? What is this world going to come to? And I said, sure, we're cloistered, we're all stuck at home. But what can I do as a parent? What is that initial toolkit that I want to provide my child with? And the answer was just that. I wanted the toolkit to comprise uh, gratitude, because we were just so grateful that we had a roof over our heads, food on our plate, loved ones, people to call in and check and care, and all the good stuff. So gratitude was born like that. My child would see me feeding some of the stray dogs or giving away food to some of the people in need, helping our staff, people, our vendors, our vegetable vendors who would come and leave vegetables outside the house and things like that. And that's where kindness kicked in. Then obviously there was, patience, where we saw that we were literally waiting for the next good thing to happen, for the world to open up, for good news to trickle in from somewhere. Even something small, like if we're baking cookies or something at home, the process was fun, but you had to wait until the cookie got baked and it was the end product. And there again, I went in with my look, I'm a very words person, right? So I went in with my phrase saying, good things come to those who, and my kid would say wait, and she would be able to just fold her hands and wait for something to happen, like for the cookies to get baked or whatever. So patience was born of that. And obviously, you know love is just the most defining emotion of our existence. And obviously love was a no-brainer. And then of course confidence became a very important thing, because my child had all her assessments for big school while we were still locked in, and we were just talking about confidence and how it's fun to be confident, right? It's fun to take yourself out into the world and do that with flair. And of course, that's a slightly more complicated thing. But, I used to always tell her that, again, I went in with a phrase, and that phrase is, can you do it? And she responds back with, yes, I can. So really, in fact, one of my sisters-in-law used that with her twin girls, and I was able to draw on that and mold that into a phrase that then I used with my child. So yeah, so really, while we tell our children use your words, it's very important that we do the same. And that's how these four ideas, these 5 books, these 5 books were born. And I was very, very fortunate to meet the founder of Birch Books, and really, we were able to bring Shiny and her wardrobe of virtues to life very, very quickly.
That's so wonderful that something so lovely was born out of a dire situation, and you chose to like teach your like kid about so many different aspects of life, like when a pandemic was going on. It's just brilliant.
Thank you. That's so kind, Arya. I appreciate that.
Um, the next question is, I
Mm-hmm.
think we already. What are some of the ways I can help my child describe his or her emotions when they arise? Maybe you can help me.
You do it first yourself. That's really the solution. You start with yourself. You do it first yourself. Vocabularize and use words that let them in on how you're feeling. And then it just becomes a way of life and they follow suit beautifully. So it really does begin with you.
So true. Okay, on to the next one. Um, how can I be a better role model for my child in terms of teaching the importance of feelings and emotions?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much the same response, right? It's so important to vocalize how you're feeling, what you're going through, and it need become this very severe discussion. It can just be something like, Mama needs a minute to take a breath. I need to drink my coffee in peace. So can we have some quiet time? Because by doing this, Mama will truly feel calmer. Do you want to feel calmer with me? Let's try it. It's really just in the experience of it. It's really just in the doing. It 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 sort of gets done in the doing. And I always say that model emotions so that your children follow suit, and it just sort of becomes a way of life. Then it's not this chore anymore. It's not a project, it's not a goal. It just becomes a way of life.
Right. And how does your daughter respond to such statements?
Well, most often she's very good. I have to say, most often she will say yes, and and I'll say, I think you will also feel calm if we're able to sit in silence and just do this together. If we're able to share silence, I always tell her that sharing silence is as important as sharing words, and we'll do that. And then most often she's very good, and obviously sometimes when she's has something to say or whatever, she'll be like, are we done yet? And I'll go in saying, yes, we're done yet. And now we can talk about our feelings, So it's also very important to recalibrate. Many times I feel, like I said in the first part of this chat with you, Arya, that, we're all very focused on the solution. The child is crying. What can we do to fix it? The child is seeming low. How can we fix it? The child is having a meltdown. I always say the fixing is not in the solution. The fixing is in the process to the solution. And by that, I mean, ask them why they're crying. Ask them how they're feeling. I'll be like, oh, are you disappointed that we couldn't go to the park today? Is that why you look upset? Really, just like I said before, equip them with the bouquet of why they're feeling a certain way and a library of words of what they're feeling. And they will point it out to you. And slowly the tantrum will convert into a conversation. Sometimes it might not. Sometimes all they might want to do is hug you. And that's okay too, because that builds their emotional quotient as well. you know
Right.
so it's really just in the process. The beauty is in the process. The success of this is in the process.
It's wonderful. Like the whole silence thing reminded me of mindfulness and how, as adults, we try to attain this state of being, and you're trying to teach your child this at such a young age. It's wonderful.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's really just the solutions are all there. I think it takes just as parents us to take two steps back and recalibrate, the way you do with fitness, the way you do with work, the way you do with a skill, right? You just try to get better each time because you're able to be mindful and reflect on what you could have done better that day. And I'm not super mom either. I mean, I have my days too, right? And I always try and think of how could I have done that better? And I put that then into my toolkit.
Right.
So the idea is really just filling each other's toolkits with your emotional tools and mindfulness and all that great stuff.
Lovely. That's lovely. Um, so the next question is, can positive affirmations help my child become more emotionally resilient?
Oh,
Do you,
definitely.
do you use positive affirmations
Definitely.
with your kid?
Yes, I do. And I started very, very early. I remember my daughter was barely 2 months old, and when you swaddle your child, right? Obviously, their hands are flying all over the place when they're that young. And I would literally just take her hands and I would just say the words that, you are brave, you are kind, you are blessed, you are loved, just those kind of simple things. And eventually, as she grew up, it started becoming just something fun that we would do. We attached gestures to it. So it would be you are blessed, you are brave, you're kind, just things like that. And she started saying all those words herself. And um, then now I feel sometimes when I'm having a hard day or she sees me frazzled, she'll just randomly throw in one. She'll just say, "But Mama, you're so blessed." She'll just randomly throw something at me. Um, so it's it's quite nice. But yes, affirmations go a long way. It goes a long, long way, because sometimes, like I said, when I say, baby, sometimes we do hard things, but remember, you are, and then she'll rattle it off. She'll say, "I know, Mama, I'm blessed, I'm brave, I'm kind," then she'll say it. So it's kind of one of those extra things in her toolkit that I think she goes back to on her own now, and, even without aid or help. So yes, affirmations are incredible and they go a long way.
Great. I'm sure the audience is like really happy to learn about these techniques that they can use with their kids as well. Let's just move to the questions in the chat box.
All right. I think someone asked something about some good books or something about emotional intelligence and mindfulness and that kind of stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I saw that too. Okay, so I have
Yeah,
a question.
yeah,
Jyoti
go
has,
ahead.
what is the first thing to say to your kid every morning? Parents are crazy busy these days. How to make that moment special?
So, I do a bunch of things, right? So, when we wake up, the first thing that we obviously do is we literally say thank you. And I haven't gotten into the brass tacks of it. When they wake up, firstly, we're beating a timeline. We're trying to make it into the bus. So it's just a thank you. We join our hands, say thank you. And after that, it's really on the day. So sometimes I'll be like, "Wow, Adhyana, you look so fresh. You slept on time last night. And that's why your face looks like a flower this morning." And she's very tickled by that, because she'll run and look at her face in the mirror and she'll say, "Mama, I'm not a flower, I'm a girl." Or, it's just something funny. But basically, I'm trying to tell her that if you sleep on time and you sleep well, you feel and you look great in the morning. So some days I use that. Some days I'll just be like, "Oh my God, look, Adhyana, it's such a wonderful day. The sun is shining. And, we have all this." And then she'll say, "Oh, do we have vitamin D in the air?" And then that'll come back to, I'll say, "Yes. And it's also in all the good food that you ate last night." So we're so thankful for that, right? Some days it'll just be about, what is Adhyana going to be a champion at today? And she'll come in with a list. And then while she's giving me that list, we're going in and we're trying to start with the brushing our teeth and things like that. So she'll say, "Today I'm going to be the champion of finishing everything on my plate at break time. And today I'm also going to be the champion of cycling, because I know my cycling coach is going to come today." So it's a bunch of things. Sometimes we talk about gratitude, sometimes we talk about a sense of accomplishment, sometimes we even just talk about something simple like, you know um, if she knows someone in the family is unwell, or recently a very close family friend of ours passed away, so she'll always go back to that. She'll be like, "Oh, is heaven a happy place, and what must they be doing there right now?" So it's really all like the really juicy emotional stuff at the bottom, but it's actually very basic conversation at the top. And I use the mornings to funnel the basic conversation into the big emotions. And it could be just a 2-second conversation with your child, but conversing with your child in the morning is everything. It's really everything. I was never
Absolutely.
a morning person, but I've had to become one. So I make sure I use that time well.
It's the best way to start your day on like a bright note.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Shilpa has asked, please share the names of some good books for children aged 6 to 10 years.
Okay, I have an amazing list. I'll be sharing that on your Instagram page or wherever. So, Shilpa, please access it.
Okay, great.
It's a long list, so I'll share it shortly.
Okay, perfect. Um,
Some of the books actually that I wanted to tell you guys about that equip parents and that are very good read for adults are Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child by Shefali Sabri, and I'm sorry, The Conscious Parent by Shefali Sabri, and The Little Book of Big Feelings by Marzi Wilson. These are really amazing. And you know, when I read these books, not only did it aid me as a parent, it aided me as an adult myself. Because there's just so much take home value for us as well. And it's helped me with my teams, it's helped me with work, you know, it's helped me with colleagues, with employees. So it's been fantastic.
I think that's all the questions we have. But I have one.
Lovely.
Apart from books, are there any other materials, like content materials, that you use to teach your child such emotions and make her more emotionally resilient?
Music tends to be a fantastic tool. Um, a lot of the songs that they do, a lot of the songs that children are taught, right? So there is just like you can really twist a lot of that and use that in the way that you parent and the way that you talk to your children about those feelings and emotions. So, for example, um, how can I give you an example? Itsy Bitsy Spider. Such a simple song, right? Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. And how did Itsy feel? Did he give up? No, he did not give up. He went back into the water spout because that's what we do. We do hard things. And Itsy Bitsy Spider finally got atop that spout and was a champion. So, really, music, rhymes, all those things are fantastic tools. I have to say, while I know screen time is this big monster when it comes to, you know, millennial parenting, especially, I believe in full balance. I never deprive my child of the screen either. She gets the screen once a day for a stipulated amount of time, and I'm very conscious about that. I never will cut something out from her day completely. And even some of the shows we have today, like Daniel Tiger or Peppa Pig, or it's filled with a lot of the good stuff that ties back to their EQ, ties back to parenting, ties back to worldview. They listen to so many different accents and ways of speaking, so they know that the world is this beautiful big jungle. So, yes, besides books, I think music and television content, which is age appropriate, goes a very long way.
That's lovely. I'm sure that parents on this live have learned a lot from you today.
That's
And
very, very kind. I'm a
guys,
novice.
please
I am a
follow.
novice completely. These are just techniques and things that I do in my daily life that I hope will help you all. But really, I'm just as new to this game as you are.
I would just like to tell our audience that please do go and follow Sukanya. She has that wonderful mental health box.
I think there's a network, there's a connection error. Arya, yeah, now you're back. You're back.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. My network is being a
Not
little
at
bad.
all. Not at
But
all.
it was great having you here, Sukanya. We're really happy, and I'm sure the Think Right
Great,
family
Arya.
got a lot from you today.
That's very kind. I'll share the list of I'll share the link for to buy the books with you. And I'll
Yes,
also share the list of books that the parents ask for.
yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely Sunday.
You too. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.